August 31, 2017, and my name's Steve Bieneman, and this is my very first attempt to present one of the subjects that I feel the most passionate about, because as a planet, we really need to come up to speed. Everyone on Earth could help the rest of us by gaining familiarity with what I'll call the literacy challenge of complexity science. Okay, so what's this all about? Okay, let's get this thing working. Okay, so the problem: we humans don't enjoy thinking about complicated things, mostly. I mean, there are some of us who really do enjoy thinking complicated thoughts, but most of the time, anything complicated gives us a headache, and people run from it. I run from it. As soon as I think something's complicated, I want to turn the other way. Well, why is that a problem? Ecology is complicated. Political issues are complicated. But we need to successfully address complicated things. Why? Because it's the complicated nature of our ecological challenges, our economic challenges, that are threatening our survival. Even if we don't like doing it, we realize that, it's not, none of this is going to be solved by us getting stupider. We all need to get a little smarter than we are. Okay, so let's go to the next page. This is really working. Okay, so success with complexity is possible. There is help. Why is that? Because there's a new science on the block. This science is called complexity science. It's only 30 years old, and it's already offering some important insights that we can use. What this means is that you don't have to fill your head with complicated thoughts, but you need a few thoughts about when you see complicated things, you need to know what to do. And so complexity science can offer the tools that we need to help us manage complex systems. Okay? So how do we manage complex situations? First, we need to know that there are two main types of them, and then we apply the known techniques for each of those types. And most importantly, avoid the pitfalls for each type of complex system. One of these two types has pitfalls, and the other one not so much. Okay, so but we're going to talk about the simple one, the easy one first. Okay, there are two main kinds of complex situations. The first one is predictable complexity, or complicatedness. You'll see different authors having different names for them, and the names don't matter so much. What's really at issue is, are these situations well known and understood? For instance, if your faucet is dripping, that's not very complicated, but you know what to do. Even if you're not a plumber yourself, you could hire a plumber and have him fix it for you. Let's say that there's a water leak in the street outside your house. Maybe it'd take more than one guy to fix it, but they all know what to do. You can hire people. You can find people that can go through a series of steps and come up with a solution to the problem. That's complex, but it's predictable, and you can set out a series of steps that'll get you to the solution. In a complex adaptive system, this is the new thing on the block, and it was really characterized by the complexity science people. And in a situation that is this kind of complexity, you might think that you know what to do, but beware, because what's so different about a complex adaptive system? Let's talk about that. Why do you have to beware? Okay, in a complex adaptive system, these are made up of lots of individual players. Some of those players are independent and some related. Each is making choices and adapting. They're called adaptive agents. For instance, the stock market is made of individual players. a Twitterverse is made of individual players, and each person is reacting to the other players. And so you make a change and it spreads like a knock-knock joke through a sixth grade classroom. Okay, each of these players are called adaptive agents. Why? Because they're adapting to the behavior of the guy next to them. Okay, and so a complex adaptive system is where all these agents are reacting to each other. Our immune system is that kind of a thing. There are all kinds of examples in the world around us. Okay, so there are common examples, for instance, of the kind of problems that this can give us. Okay, so in a complex adaptive system, one what we all know about is what happens when some gossip gets loose. Somebody sees you walking down the sidewalk with the wrong person. Next thing you know, rumors have started, and the rumors spread, and it's almost impossible to make them go away. Why? Because it's a complex adaptive system, and you can never take a change back. Once you make a change, the adaptation begins, and it spreads in every direction. You can't take anything back. An email, drunk emails, drunk dialing somebody, tweets, stories, for instance, on the stock market. Once somebody sells too much stock and other people panic, it all happens. So there's a multiplier effect. For instance, I was taking care of a paddock full of horses once, and all of a sudden, I was just coming through the gate from one paddock to another, and 8 horses went boom, just thundering towards me, and I was scared to death. I thought I'd get knocked over. I didn't, but and so all the horses are in the other paddock. Suddenly, they're all walking around calmly, and I could have been killed. And I looked, and there was holy crap! That was a sudden change. There was a rabbit that had come out of the woods into the paddock, and all the horses were standing around saying, "Oh, well, I know what that was," and so on. But they were spooked. One horse got spooked, and they all ran. That's an example of the multiplier effect. The stock market. One person can sell stock, or sometimes nothing can cause it, and everybody can go wild with some kind of crazy behavior. So anytime you have group behavior, you can have an equation. Fear plus news produces sudden changes. So, for instance, where there's money, for instance, like a speakeasy stampede. Let's say that everybody's gambling at one of these old-fashioned nightclubs and stuff like that, and everybody wants to avoid the cops, okay? And so everybody is watching the checkout till, and all of a sudden 2 people go up to the till and start cashing in their chips. Suddenly, everybody makes a mad dash to the till, and they want to check out before the cops arrive. That's the kind of behavior that you have. So everybody's trying to adapt to survive. Okay, let's go to the next point. So some known complex adaptive system characteristics. They're, aggregation, tagging, nonlinearity, flows, diversity, blah blah. You don't have to know all these things. All you need to know is that the science is out there and people are working on it. In a complex adaptive system, it's very important to be very careful of what you do because of the possibility of this one. Sudden nonlinear changes are possible because of these others: aggregation, flows, diversity, and the internal and build models and building blocks and all of that kind of stuff. My favorite author on YouTube is David Snowden. No, not Edward Snowden. This is David Snowden, and he's got some really fun. But there's plenty of guys. John Holland is another one. Great YouTube stuff. It's not hard to find out about. All you need is time. But you don't have to do that. But there's important that we know about this now, and here's why. Okay, why complexity science is most important. The government knows about it. Okay, I would say that half of the world governments right now are all using complexity science. You may have opinions about your own government leaders, whether they are or not, but if you study some of them, you'll know that if they're making baby steps and being very careful about their procedures, And if it looks like they don't have any particular goals, they just want to keep the lights on, just keep the boat from tipping over, that could be a sign that they understand the risks of complex adaptive systems. So, here's the bottom line. If you expect simple fixes from your government, you won't like the politicians that you need to have. Because in a complex adaptive system, you don't get simple fixes ever. Almost never. Instead, if you misunderstand this, then you will like politicians that offer simple fixes. And in a complex adaptive system, simple fixes are almost always wrong, and they're dangerous. Simple fixes never work in a complex adaptive system. They always lead to surprises. And in an economy, surprises are almost always bad. Because in an economy, what do you want people to do? You want them to relax and get comfortable, and for businesses to start hiring, and for people to spend money, and for, you frighten people, you frighten businesses, they're going to clam up, they're going to lay off people. It doesn't matter what the news is. So my recommendation, and that's probably the last point here, is to look for well-educated politicians who seem careful. You won't know, but you can tell if they seem that way. You want politicians who listen to scientists, and in this day and age, especially complexity scientists. Okay? You need to appreciate the value of baby steps. In a complex adaptive system, baby steps are the thing, and minimizing the harmful effects of anything that anyone does. Think about, what are bank robbers? There's a complex system, a lot of stress. They'll say no sudden movements, In fact, they say everyone lay on the floor and take a deep breath. but that's the idea. Yeah, and so our expectations of our politicians has to change. So beware of any sudden changes, and beware of any politicians who think that sudden changes are a good idea. They never are. This is my considered opinion. So, okay, so that's the end of this presentation. It could be a lot longer, but I like to, keep it as short as possible. That's the main ideas. So my YouTube channel is DRM, stands for Dream Magnet. My podcast is up there if you're interested. I talk about a lot of different things. So there it is. So wherever you are and whatever you believe yourself to be doing, I bid you a good day.